Welcome to this episode of Consider It Blacklit. I am Kim Singleton, your host, and for those of you tuning in for the first time, Consider It Blacklit highlights films, television programs, and stage productions that feature African Americans up front and behind the scenes. We also discuss social issues as it relates to some of these programs and how they may or may not impact our communities. So thank you for tuning in, and we hope you continue to tune in each week. Today, it is my pleasure to highlight the International Association of Blacks in Dance. And our guests today to discuss this organization are the two co-executive directors, Omar Ingram and Dr. Natasha Moreland Spears. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yes, I am so excited to have you here. I like to highlight organizations like this so that, my audience know that you are out here. Tell our audience a little bit about your professional backgrounds and how you became involved with the International Association of Blacks in Dance.
Oh, my journey to the International Association of Blacks in Dance is interesting. I was first introduced to the organization serving as the marketing director for the Dayton Contemporary Dance Company, which is one of the founding organizations of IABD, and attended my first conference almost 20 years ago in 2006 in Brooklyn. Fast forward in my career, continuing in the arts and culture realm, I attended the next conference in 2019 when the Dayton Contemporary Dance Company was in fact hosting the conference in Dayton, but I was serving in another leadership role at another nonprofit. And as I was transitioning out of Ohio into Nashville, was staying close, Omar and I became friends just really like almost a year prior to me joining the team. And one of my best friends is the daughter of one of the founding members, Debbie Blunden Diggs, who serves as the chief artistic director for Dayton Contemporary Dance Company, said to me, "Hey, IIBD is looking for a co-executive director. They're shifting the model." And this was an opportunity for me to return first to dance, art, and culture because I love it. And then secondly, to work for an organization that I just have a really strong, great deal of respect for and the legacy and what it means to the Black dance community and telling our stories in that way. And so I was excited to be able to come in and work with my friend, but also to serve an organization with such a rich legacy and history and to be able to build on that.
Awesome. What about you, Omar?
Definitely a different story. I have been with IABD for 12 years now, 13, somewhere in there. I originally went to Howard University. And at one
wait a minute, HU?
you know, and so being a student child of Howard, I was around IABD without knowing that I was around IABD. I went as a musical theater major, but the dance majors were always going to IABD each year. And at that time, IABD meant the conference. From that point, right after I graduated, I was asked by our former president and CEO if I would come and stage manage I think I did 3 of 6 shows around the DC area, so the Kennedy Center, et cetera. Which I did not know would go like the last 13 years, from stage managing shows each year to, I believe I came on as the special assistant for programs, and then IBD received its Mellon grant. And with that, I then became the programs director as it became a full-time organization. Then I transitioned to being the co-executive lead as our former president and CEO transitioned out. And now, as of last December, we just hit a year, co-executive director.
Oh, awesome. That is amazing. So, for my audience members who are not familiar with the organization, IABD, could you give us just a brief history, how it got started, when it got started? Who would like to tackle that?
I'll leave that to Omar.
Okay, Omar.
So in 1988, Joan Myers Brown received a $5,000 grant to convene Black dance companies. And from that to now, we have transitioned drastically. But she gathered a bunch of her friends who had companies around the US. And at that time, they formed I'm not going to mess that name up. So at that time, they formed the organization in a different iteration. And from that point, it has progressed and progressively grown from not just dance companies to dance studios to dance lovers, dance friends, dance scholars, really around in the beginning, making sure that dance companies were seen by presenters so that the opportunities that they were not afforded because presenters didn't know where to find them or how to get to them shifted. And that became a space where they were able to see Black dance companies for who they were, which has grown tremendously because now our membership of, I think that first gathering was maybe 30, 80 professionals who were there, is now a membership of over 2,000 who are always ready to gather and to do this work. That first conference was the International Conference of Black Dance Companies. And then in 1991, we became the International Association of Blacks in Dance.
Wow, very interesting, very interesting. So let's talk about your conference that you are about to have. You're doing it in collaboration with the Collage Dance Collective. Tell us a little bit about that organization and how the collaboration came about.
Collage was founded in New York in 2006 and then ultimately moved to the Memphis region in 2007 when Memphis was going through its own kind of renaissance, if you were. And so bringing Black dance back to that region. They're now one of the largest Black-led performing arts organizations in the South, and one of the few professional ballet companies in the world. And their roster, of course, boasts BIPOC dancers. They present a full-length season in Memphis, and then also they tour nationally and internationally, as well as running a dance conservatory that trains kids of color in the classical art form, and making them one of the largest nonprofits in the region that does that. Omar will help me in this space in terms of when the partnership came to light, because I actually joined the team after I've only been with the team for about 6 months, so joined well after the partnership began. But I know that this is our first time in the South. We typically are on that East Coast region, and so with this being our first opportunity in the South, it really just creates an opportunity for us to not only partner with an amazing organization with its rich history, but we're partnering in Memphis against a backdrop of music and Beale Street. And so it just really, and our rich history, and it just really makes sense.
Just to add, I think Collage has been a partner of IBD and participating in some of our other programs, chief of which is our Kohai Move program for the last 7 years. And in that time span, there was a lot of reach out from Memphis tourism about, oh, you should bring the conference, you should bring the conference. And when we hit the pandemic and we thought about when new locations to take the conference and festival, which was part of our board's request of looking at new spaces, it made sense that the only other time we had been to the South was in North Carolina, and it was a dialed down version of the conference and festival. But to enter a new territory, and which was a little more serendipitous and not as initially thought about, but to take it Memphis, which is a major civil rights city, at the top of an election year, made a lot of sense to have the conference and festival be there with its theme of Can't Turn You Loose, a love letter to Black dance.
Oh, wow. Wow. So tell us about the type of workshops you have, as well as the programming that you have during the conference.
So we do, for the workshops, et cetera, those are, we file them as our Move, Talk, Learn series. And so this year, I think there are 46. I have a wall of sticky notes over here that tells me everything. I believe there are 46 that comprise that. And in order to do it, we have workshops, lectures, demonstrations, roundtable discussions, panels. And one of the things that we started a couple years ago that I'm passionate about is our At the Feet of the Master series.
Mhm.
And inside of all of those, they are opportunities as a Howard student. The first thing we learned in the theater department was it wasn't show business, it was business show. And so the way that we look at curating this is to focus on the business elements and the scholarly elements that make artists who they are and make sure that they have the ability to have longevity in their careers. And then our At the Feet of the Master session is a 2-hour dance class, about 90 minutes of actual instruction and 30-minute question and answer with those masters who are either current masters or just one step down, and had the opportunity to learn and study with a master or an inventor of a technique, or a codifier of a technique. And so this year we have Lauren Anderson from Houston Ballet. Ronald K. Brown is joining us. Little Buck is joining us, and then Kathy Smith is teaching Horton.
I was wondering, I was like, okay, he hasn't said Little Buck yet. I'm like,
I can get to all of them, but in that 46, which actually puts it at 58, different sessions that we will be having this year. On top of that, we also have our dance class series and our conference and festival auditions, which are 4 different auditions we have over 3 days. And this year, I believe it is 60 dance classes that are also occurring over those 3 days. So there are lots of ways to engage with us in Memphis this year.
I also think if I could just add with the Little Buck piece is not only does this is the city playing a backdrop, but bringing Little Buck brings in that juking, which is, you know, that art form, that dance form that is really specific to Memphis. So Memphis and what the backdrop that it adds is a through line in all aspects of the conference, not just in the aesthetics of it.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So, not only dancers come to your conference, but you have other professionals too. Tell us about who else attends.
It really is a conference open for lovers of dance. You can be categorized as, oh, I just like dance today. I learned about it yesterday. I am a dance scholar. I'm a dance student.
I'm a dance administrator.
I'm a dance administrator. I'm a dance parent.
Mm.
However, the theme lends itself to making sure that anyone who has only ever seen dance once is able to come and be involved, and the programming is designed so that there is something for everyone, and to help and aid in your matriculation.
Oh, wow, that's great. So it seems like you cover a lot of things in the conference. Let me ask both of you, what is your favorite part of the conference?
We're at that point where my joking reaction is normally, "Ooh, the day after it's over."
Mhm.
But I have 2 moments. There's the moment right before we open the registration room. Um, I don't think anyone has ever heard me say this, but it's normally the moment where silently I find a corner and just pray. To like let us get through it, let the things that we have done be fruitful. And then somewhere on Sunday morning, right before and so this is a tandem part, we announce the scholarships that have been awarded to the students, is also the moment where I probably find a different corner and just cry. And it's normally because by that point, someone has come and said, what I remember from last year's conference is someone came and said, you know, this was the first time that our students have been able to see so many different genres on stage. And they felt that there was something for them to do in matriculating through dance professionally. Um, which got me. It was a moment I just turned my back, let the tears flow, and then we went and we read out all the scholarships. But there are those moments where it truly is about the people and not for our own self gratification. And so that and knowing that it landed how we want it to is always great for me.
What about you, Dr. Natasha?
Well, I think for me, because this will be my first conference on this side of the space, in prior years, of course, representing Contemporary Dance Company, I was there as the marketing director, attending, you know, our performance and connecting with colleagues. And then, you know, in 2019, when they were hosting the museum that I worked for was a venue space for them. So really, pulling on what I experienced in those two situations was just the excitement of the space, like the energy that you feel in the space of all of these people coming from across the world, because I believe we'll be represented by 12 countries at this conference, if I have that number correct. So you see people from all over the world who are in this space, and their love language, their connectivity is dance, and to be in that space is super exciting. So I'm just looking forward to being on this side of the table and being able to experience that.
Sounds like such an amazing conference.
It is. It really is.
Congratulations to both of you and everybody involved in helping to put it together.
Thank you.
So I want to talk a little bit more about IABD. I read that you also engage in advocacy work. Tell us a little bit about that.
The reason why this organization was founded and where we are now in terms of dance and the integration of social justice and artistry, no matter what the form is so very different. And so when we look about when we think about advocacy, it's not just about Blacks in dance, is all of the intersectionality. It's Black and female, Black and LGBTQ, and all of those things. Black and housing challenge, all of those, healthcare, all of those things. And so I believe that Omar and I in our tenure are really beginning to understand and focus on where do we make the difference in that space? How do we connect our partners with colleges so that they can, work with those students in those departments? So it's a myriad of things that we're working on and digesting to be of service to the sector, and our partnerships with Ely and all of these other organizations, Performing Arts Alliance, where we're really addressing the issues that are impacting the sector and how we serve it, and understand that not every member of this sector, it's not a monolith. So everybody is dealing with a different set of challenges. Omar, that's my take. I'll give it to you now.
I don't know that I really have to add to it. I think we used to say, and we kind of still do, Black is the color that encompasses all colors. And in that, it's also the space that holds everything. I think being that we were founded by 5 phenomenal Black women, I think there's a space that, similar to Black women, IABD holds in being a nurturing space for all people. And that is my other internal monologue that I never really voice, about the way that no matter how you find your way to IABD, there is something that we can do for you. And if we can't figure out how to do it for you, we can figure out who to connect you with to get it done. And the way that we want to show up in spaces for people is intentional. And so advocacy from that space about being a representative and of service is critical and crucial.
Great. So I read that your organization received the National Medal of Art Award, which is a big deal. Tell us about that.
I can kind of talk about it. It predated all of us who are on this call.
Okay.
So from the aspect that I was able to engage, was a really lovely experience of sitting in the room with, I think we were part of the 2021 class. So many legendary change makers who have either succeeded in arts or humanities, and to be awarded the first round of medals by President Biden and as part of his administration was also a monumental space to have been allowed, and post-pandemic. So there were a lot of major feels. We were glad to be able, my big thing, I'm a hospitality person always, so trying to make sure people have a great experience. So to be able to invite our board and our founders to DC, to go, our founders and our former president and CEO were able to go and accept the award on behalf of the association. And then to be able to go out to dinner and just celebrate with everyone in the DC community.
Great, great. Well, getting an award is always a good thing. It's kind
Mhm.
of a confirmation that your work that you do in the community and on behalf of the arts is being recognized. So kudos to the organization, and I'm sure there are more awards coming your way.
We received that.
Yes, we do.
So talk a little bit about the programming that you had, because we spoke about the conference. Talk about your other programming and the initiatives that you have.
So our Co-Hab Move program has been around for 7 years. It's a partnership with the Mellon Foundation or it's funded by the Mellon Foundation and a partnership with Nonprofit Finance Fund. And so in that program, we have awarded just under $2 million to 30 dance companies, for their general operating support and capacity building. We have our Forward program, which is a slight offset of that, funded by the Ford Foundation. And in that program, we have 14 dance companies, studios, institutions who are participating, and they also span 5 different countries. Um, we have our Clear project, which is we have helped to document and archive materials, treasured materials from dance companies around the US. Our auditions and our On the One series, we have talked about. On the One, we allow that to actually take place in different cities throughout the year. Those are a couple of the ones that are popping up top of mind. And then our initiatives are similar in that vein. One of the biggest ones that we've done in the last couple of years, and it was an offset of our Kohi Move program, was actually releasing our Black Report, kind of in the advocacy space as well. It was, I think, Natasha, what did I say, 528 downloads we've received in the last 3 years. And it was an unintentional study on 30 Black dance companies and the way that they have been able to create their art. We typically say that Black people are able to squeeze the life out of a penny. And so what it really showed us is the way that we are innovative and creative and have been able to do so much for so long. And right now we are looking at ways to continue that research and with a little more in a more expansive manner.
Okay, okay. So you are a membership-based organization, am I correct? How does
Yes.
one become a member, or how does a company become a member? What's the criteria?
We have varied membership levels, so you can become a member at the student level, you can be a senior individual dance company or an industry professional, agent, manager, etc. And so someone could visit our website and find details about our benefits, our membership levels. And then, of course, once you become a member, you get to join this amazing community of artists and artistry and engage in the conference and so many other things that we offer, like the Kohi program that Omar just discussed and so many other things.
So we're coming to a close of the program. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your organization or a conference with our audience that we may not have covered?
Natasha, you want to go first?
The first thing, of course, is that I encourage anyone who has not, considered coming to the conference, joining us for the conference to think about it. The performances that happen throughout the conference have something for everyone. So when you hear conference, it's not just plenaries and sessions and workshops. There are also performances that are inspiring and thought-provoking and engaging, and moments when you're like, oh my God, I wish I was that flexible. Like all of those things. So I encourage people to whenever we are close to you in a community near you, we do the conference at present every year. Come out and support and see people of all ages taking the stage to represent Blacks in dance. The other thing that I would say is not just this conference and not just our organization. It is so critical that people support Black dance, that you buy a ticket, that you attend a show, that you make a gift to your local Black dance organization. We are the organizations that we serve, the individuals that we serve, the artists that we serve are our storytellers in the same way that our poets, our painters, our actors are. These are storytellers and they exist with support. So it's critical that you take an opportunity to go see a show, again, to make a donation, to have your children in classes, because you perpetuate and continue the legacy and the story of Black dance.
That's a very important point. Thank you for sharing. Omar, would you like to add anything?
I would say it's a great time. It has lots of names, lots of nicknames. One of it is the movable feast. And I think that is it. It is a space to gather with your friends, your colleagues, new friends, new colleagues, to just be able to bask in the greatness that is Black people, and Black dance, and the all-encompassing space that that holds. And then it's also a space to learn about new dance companies, new trends, etc. So if you are able to join us in Memphis, we will have about 43 different dance companies performing over 4 nights. And so in that, there is inevitably someone you may not have ever heard of, but it's a welcome introduction to new people and new styles. I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday who said, "Oh, why don't people like musical theater?" And they then go, "Oh, but this one musical made it be something for me." And I think that what we do here is, while you may not like dance or understand dance, there's an opportunity that the light switch may flick, and you be introduced to a style of dance that says, "Oh, this is for me," or either to get up and try, or something that I just want to follow. And so in that, I think our little love letter this year should be received pretty well.
Great, great. Thank you. So if anybody wanted to stay up to date on what your organization was doing, where should they go?
IABDassociation.org.
Okay. IABDassociation.org. Everybody got that? Well, I'd like to thank Omar Ingram and Dr. Natasha Moreland Spears for joining me today to discuss the International Association of Blacks in Dance. Now you know about it, follow it, and make sure you support. And for everyone joining in, thank you, and consider yourself Blacklit.